Fresh from getting the long-delayed Putnam Block Project off the ground and underway, the Bennington County Industrial Corporation held its annual meeting on Thursday, November 7th, at the Bennington Museum. The organization, which historically has served to help attract businesses to the Bennington County area, is focusing more closely on developing the region's workforce. Those attending the 61st Annual Stockholders Meeting heard both the organization's president, Richard Dixie Zenz, and the event's keynote speaker, Lindsay Curley, the Secretary of the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, talk about workforce issues and some of the initiatives going on.
Of course, our headline for this year has been the help and the redevelopment of the Putnam Block, and it's one of our big contributions, and it's something that we're all very proud of, and it's amazing for this town. The Bennington Redevelopment Group, BRG, they've had an amazing vision, tenacity, collaboration to lift up our town and try to make this a better place for everybody. A lot of us are still looking for better and more qualified workers to fill the positions here. We're still lacking in that. So the good news is our unemployment rate is pretty low, but we still need some more workers. The thing is that a lot of us as employers are more than willing to train folks that maybe don't have the skills. If we could get people to come and want to come to work, that would be a great thing.
A lot of energy here in Bennington, and honestly, you all continue to lead the way as a rural hub in workforce and economic development. What you have here, your connections, is so special, and honestly, a model for the rest of the state.
Earlier that afternoon, Ms. Curley stopped by at GNet TV for a discussion on the state of the broader Vermont economy, and the subject of workforce development also came up.
I think that there's no one magic thing that is going to fix it all. The reality is that we all have to be really creative and think from a perspective of it's an and, not an either or, meaning we need to work really hard looking within our borders to make sure that we pull folks off the sidelines who want to work but maybe have some barriers that are keeping them out of the workforce. If we can help remove some of those barriers and get them into the workforce, bringing Vermonters in is going to be a huge help. At the same time, we need to look outside our state. And so this is where you've probably heard about some of the incentives like the remote worker incentive, which, we're seeing a rise nationwide with remote workers. And so we capitalized on that idea and created this incentive to help bring people to Vermont through that method. And really, more than anything, it was getting people's attention, because as we travel around the state, I always ask, what brought you to Vermont? When somebody says, I recently moved to Vermont, or I came to Vermont later in my life, whatever it might be, I always say, what brought you to Vermont? And you hear outdoor recreation, you hear quality of life, you hear the education, safety, but what you hear so often is people need a catalyst. They need a nudge, something to push them. So it's whether you're talking about the folks that are in our state already or the folks that are out of our state, we really need to give people a reason and some encouragement to jump in and give it a try.
Bill Colvin and Jonathan Cooper of the BCIC, as the Industrial Corporation is often referred to, along with Wendy Morse of the Department of Labor and Jeannie Jenkins, who serves as the vice chairwoman of the Bennington Select Board, described some of the work the BCIC is doing. In addition to workforce development and attracting businesses to the area, it also runs an industrial park and can also help businesses looking to expand in the Bennington area find land and space for that. The BCIC is also the temporary owner of the Putnam Block Project until it's completed, when it will be turned over to the Regional Development Group. Bill Colvin summed up where he saw the BCIC heading.
BCIC's work is multifaceted. As I talked about earlier in the director's report, serving as the boots on the ground for everything that the Agency of Commerce and Community Development does to try to promote business throughout the state, really connecting with those resources. Secretary Curley noted a number of programs existing and new that are available through the state, and we really try to get the word out and make the appropriate linkages there. Obviously, we'll continue work on the Putnam Block. We're in planning now for Phase 2, which we hope to bring about into into fruition in 2021, and then we'll talk about future phases beyond that in workforce development.
For the GNet TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.